listening to the Hollywood Boulevard Podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Hollywood Boulevard Podcast. And we don't have a full house for this one. We only have two-thirds of the house. One of them, he's gone run for the hills from this one, I guess. But we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But Joe Turek here, I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm here with.
Jonathan Moody, your other co-host.
Yep, and this episode is we do not have Alfred Crane with us, so he is taking this one off.
He
Will
said
be
it was
back
a
on a future
bad.
episode.
He had something, like it was something that he had bad memories about or something.
Yeah, I don't know if it was so much the movie, but itself. But I think seeing them, and that's that way with anything for anybody. It's like you see a movie, and whatever's going on in your life, if there's good memories, bad memories, and stuff like that, something might come up, and it just sort of hits at a point to where it's not that talkable. And I guess that's the case with this one. So he just stepped away from this one, which is fine. So it's like, but it's a movie I love, obviously, for bringing it up, and it's us continuing our sports theme of stuff. I went a little bit different in the sports the sports is sort of at the focus of this, but it's also a romance and a drama. So I chose Jerry Maguire, 1996 film with obviously Tom Cruise, and and I'll get into when I saw it too, and just the time, because I remember back when it was what I was doing at that time in my life too. So it's like I'd be interested to hear from Alfred a little bit offline, what the impact was on his life and stuff like that with this movie. But we talked a little bit about it leading in from last episode, but it's all good. This is a movie I think I could talk more than enough about, and I'm sure you have your thoughts on it as well.
Oh, I definitely
So,
do.
so yeah. So uh, I saw it in the theater. Actually, I worked in the theater that it came in it when it came out, and I put the film together at the theater. So it was fun. I worked at Regal in Kiln Creek when it came out. So
Oh, rest in peace, Regal and
yeah,
Kiln
I
Creek.
got a picture of that recently. I thought about posting something about that. It's sad when you see stuff like that, because that's unfortunately, today's time, theaters are just they're losing its impact, unfortunately, and we can go into that too.
Well,
But
yeah. I hadn't been to it, but I do remember enjoying going the last time I went. And I went to AMC recently to watch the Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and I love the AMC. AMC like
oh, the
blew
24
Regal
year
out of the
you
AMC 24 over in Hampton, and was just
yeah, see,
blew me away.
my neck of the woods, my neck of
Yeah,
the woods. So
we were just
yeah,
my friend Lena and I wanted to go see it, and instead of me bringing her down to Regal in Williamsburg, she lived down in Hampton, so I was like, I'll
okay,
just bring you
yeah,
out there.
I have the pass, so I see 2 3 movies a week there.
Nice.
And I just saw a movie there the other day,
How much
yesterday,
is the
and
pass now?
with tax, it comes up like 28, $29, something like
Oh,
that
yeah.
with taxes and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I'm
up
still happy with my $21 one that I got at Regal. I'll take that forever.
yeah. And if I was at Regal, that would, because I think that's a 12 screen that you go to, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So
something
there's
like that.
probably not enough movies to do four a week, because the AMC one you can do four a week and stuff like that. So
To be honest, like right now, you can do three. It's unlimited, so you can do as many as you want.
okay.
But
Oh, great Shane.
yeah, so I could watch how many, and honestly, three. There's two right now that I want to see. So
Yeah.
and then I think there's more coming. So I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, we were on opposite days or something last week, because I saw Five Nights of the Thursday night it came out. So
Yeah, I
um
saw it Friday when it came out.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's but there's always little films coming out there, and that's what makes it so great. But the theater experience, unfortunately, is it's evolving and changing, and it's unfortunate in some ways, because some of the ongoing deals with the studios and all, and I'm sure we can go into a whole different podcast on that. But back in the day when Jerry Maguire came out in '96, I was working at the Regal, and that's when it wasn't digital, obviously. So putting it together, so a movie 2 hours 20 minutes, that'd be four reels. That's four for an hour. So probably what, eight? It was probably 10 to probably 9 or 10 reels put together to tape together, and then tape all the previews. Good times. So, splicing all the stuff together and watching the film. And I remember when it came out, there was a girl that I'm still friends with to today. She was like the one of the biggest Tom Cruise fans I think there was. So she was like counting down the days to this came out and all in the theater. So
She'd get along with John Ward, who's a huge. That's his boy
yeah,
right
it's his
there.
boy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually sent him a picture of the of Renee and Jerry together, and I said, "Your boy," and he goes, "Well, that's everybody's boy, isn't it?" And I said, "Not Katie Holmes's boy,"
so
and
yeah,
he said,
yeah,
"Not Nicole Kidman's boy," you know.
yeah, and I know some people obviously have problems with him because of just some of the some of that stuff probably, and to me
And
it's
some of
like
his antics and some of the things, like
yeah,
my mom didn't like him jumping on a couch at one Oprah, for
yeah,
Katie Holmes and stuff. But I just see that as like, he's a quirky character,
yeah.
you know.
I just know it seems like he's very passionate about the projects he's involved in, and that's cool. And from a film cinephile type of thing, loving the movies and stuff like that, I really enjoy when you get people that are that dedicated to the craft and stuff. And this film here, to me, this is a film that stands out. I mean, I've there's so many different angles I could take this discussion today, but yeah, it's like, but Tom Cruise is probably a lot of people's boy, but I wonder. I don't think he's probably Paul's boy though. I don't think Paul probably would be a
Paul's
big
not a
Tom.
huge Tom Cruise fan.
Yeah,
Most
because
of the
he
stuff
probably
he does is very Hollywood, stuff
yeah
and like stuff he's just not interested in.
he might get into like the Magnolia
No, he
stuff.
loved him in Magnolia. That I think that
Yeah,
was probably his favorite thing. I remember him telling me that. I mean, yeah, he was. Yeah, I would say he's not into Top Gun or Days of Thunder. I don't think he's into many of the stuff that
maybe
Tom.
maybe some of the early stuff, maybe like Labyrinth or something like that. He might get
I
into like the
don't think so, because
early to mid '80s before it
that's
went
too
too Hollywood.
family oriented, and Paul doesn't like kid movies and stuff. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm putting words in Paul's mouth. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
case.
But but with this one, it was obviously it was big in the theater, pretty big in the theater, and we'll talk about that. It had a lot of acclaim and stuff like that. And I just saw like read the production notes that it was it started filming in March of '96 and it was released in the theaters in December of '96. And I'm like, for a $50 million production, I was like, that's a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, uh, all things considered, but yeah, so my first time seeing it, obviously, I put the film together, so I had to twist my arm, I guess, run the film that night before it came out. So watched it there overnight, and then put it out, and that was, and I ended up seeing it a few other times in the theaters, just because running projection, you always keep an eye on the films and stuff like that.
Yeah, because
So
like
that
when you're running the projection, it's not like you're paying attention to the movie necessarily. You're not like, you're just making sure like there's no problems with it, right? Like, you're not paying it close attention, right? Or are you?
Well, at times it could be a little relaxed, but I mean, when I was there, it was a 14 screen theater before it became a 20. So you have 14 films running, starting, reloading and stuff like that. So it wasn't like you push a few buttons, the digital stuff. Now you literally had to take 2 3 minutes or whatever to to reset the film through the projector and everything like that. So you always wanted to walk by and just check on things with the films. They had alarms and stuff like that on it, but sometimes the what we call the brains of the inside the on the platter films can get stuck in there and it cause just a burn and stuff like that would catch on and just cause trouble. So I was always a little nervous just to walk around and check the films to make sure they were working. But there's certain scenes of movies you would always be like, oh, I want to catch that scene again and stuff like that. And this film specifically has a
A
few
lot
of
of
those
quotes,
scenes.
a lot of great
Yeah,
quotes.
yeah, it was a two of the quotes that are like top 100 AFI quotes of all time and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
Show me the money,
Yep.
and you had me at a hello.
Yep. Yep.
And I would
Yep.
almost even say you complete me will be one, and
Yep.
be another one of the top, ones.
I
And
think Cuba Gooding probably the stuff with about the Quan could have possibly,
Quan.
yeah, about
Um, what else
yeah.
do you say? Um, the
Help me help you.
help me help you, which Cuba just kept going, help me, right?
and
I
he was
that
very
was fun.
manic. And yeah, it was just overall. So, anyways, we I worked at the theater, and that's the first time I saw it. Obviously, was that night that put it out. It came out in early December of '96. So, how about you? What was your first experience with it?
Well, trying to think. It's probably on. I want to say on VHS or something, probably. I know I did not go to the theater to watch it. In '96, I was like in what time in '96? What month?
It was Christmas '96, or just the 10th. Actually, I think it might be about the date we're recording this. I think the day it came out in '96. It's almost 30
Whoa,
years
that's
ago.
weird.
Yeah, I think it came out actually. Like I said,
20.
we'll talk about it. It came out December 13th,
Wow.
'96. So
In a
a
couple
couple days
days,
later.
and it'll be
Yeah,
a couple
it'll be
days later that this comes out. So
yeah,
awesome.
like 29 years ago. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Me, yeah, I was in high school then, I think. Yeah, 96 I was a freshman in high school. So I didn't really go to rated R movies yet, in the theater or whatever. So I probably saw it on VHS or DVD. Because DVDs came out in 98, really. Like that's when we started getting DVDs at our
Yeah,
house.
this
So,
was right on that border of when stuff was starting to transition to DVDs more, but
which
VHS was still probably dominant.
I have the DVD. I just bought it recently, because I wasn't sure if I still had it at the studio or whatnot. So I got the DVD of it, and also
So you had the
have
same. I think you had the same version as me. It's the one that comes out and has like two discs in it and stuff.
yeah, it has do this, and it's got the audio commentaries, also with the video commentary, so you guys get to see him and stuff, which is kind of cool. And it's got Tom Cruise in the audio commentary. Like you don't see Tom Cruise in commentaries much, Like I don't know if he just doesn't like to do them or just doesn't have time,
Yeah,
or whatever. But it's
yeah.
kind of
Well,
cool.
this version of it, I mean, I had a lesser quality DVD that I couldn't find, but the DVD exactly that's the one I have. But
Yeah,
uh,
it's got special
mine,
features.
I bought this at one of the thrift shops or something like that. And I bought it for like $1, $2, but when I got it, it was sealed, so it was brand new sealed. It said 14.99 or had like the Best Buy or the Circuit City or whatever it was cost thing on it. So I mean, I opened it up and so I basically had a brand new version of it when I was watching it yesterday. But I
Nice.
have like I said, I have a lesser quality DVD of it somewhere. But I saw this one, I was like, oh, because now I want to watch all the extras and all that are on it too. So
I was
uh,
going to, but I just didn't have time today.
yeah, exactly. And it's like I saw that there are some extras and stuff like that on it. So I was like, I might check these out just to see what some background on it and stuff. So so you said you didn't see it. I guess you wouldn't have if you were in high school, I guess 15 or
I
so
mean,
years or 14 years old.
yeah, 14,
Yeah,
15. Like I was turning 15 in the next month. No, it was just, that was I didn't really ask my parents to go to R-rated R movies. I waited till I was able to see them if I was. Some movies my parents were very strict about me watching, but like they didn't care about movies like this where most of it's just language, bad language. There's a
yeah,
little bit
language.
of sexuality, but like that scene was so small in it and like there's no nudity, which
Well,
I wouldn't have
well,
minded, I'm not gonna lie.
well, I guess they had the shadows and the camera stuff just right. I'm thinking of the scene with Kelly Preston and
Yeah.
Cruz at the beginning, and then you have a
That's
few. Well, I don't know if it's full male frontal, but I know they have backsides of a few of
Yeah,
the
they do have the
athletes and stuff like
backside,
that.
so does have like some male
Yeah,
butts in it
but I'm
because
sure that was part of the reasoning for the R. But language alone would make this R because there is some language at different
yeah.
times. I don't think it was absolutely brutal, but it would be R.
There's
Um,
I noticed a few F-bombs being dropped
mhm.
and stuff, which just felt normal for this kind of movie, especially
Yeah,
for a sport agent, like he's gonna be adult language.
yeah, yeah. And reading on some of the background on it, how Cameron Crowe did a lot of like 3 years plus research on it and writing the script, just that he wanted to do something on a sports agent. And I was like, I mean, at the time, it was like, man, he found his nice little niche because this feels very original, the whole
Mm.
idea of it. So, which is something that we could desperately use in Hollywood right now. But this is the type of movie. I mean, there's still is stuff now that comes out that's original. It's just you have to seek it out a little bit more. But this was mainstream at the time.
And this was homage or parodied in different stuff. Entourage sort of homage this with Ari
Hmm.
Gold getting fired from his agency and starting his own and stuff like that. And then uh, my favorite parody of this ever was the scene in Half Baked. I don't know if you ever watched that movie, but there was a
I've
scene
seen it, but I don't remember it. But go
where
ahead.
he's like, um, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you. You know, right? I'm out.
Uh,
And then he looks over and he goes, but who's coming with me? Huh? Who's coming with me? And then, one girl comes up and goes, I'll go with you. And he's like, great, you want to be my girlfriend? And she's like, no, whatever, right? It was Jim Brewer doing it.
Mhm.
So
And,
that
and,
was,
and Half Baked, that was what, like 98. So that probably played right off of this.
yeah,
This is really
no,
popular.
it was a parody of Jerry
Hmm.
Maguire. And then I also remember Dawson's Creek. What I think it was the Halloween episode that they had, and Katie Holmes, interestingly enough, did not even think about this, but Katie Holmes changes the channel to see Jerry Maguire, and they see it's the scene where Bonnie Hunt and Renee Zellweger are talking to each other, and she's like, she's telling her how she really feels about him or whatever. It was like right before he overhears it and stuff. So
Hmm.
you just see her and those two together. And
Oh, the morning after. Yeah, the morning after
yeah,
scene.
and
Yeah.
but anyway, that they showed that scene. I just think that's really funny. That's like almost foreshadowing who she was gonna eventually end up marrying, which
Yeah, I'm not sure the time frame when she was married to
I think it
when
was
they were married.
2000 and something.
Okay, so this was before
Yeah,
obviously.
well, in 98 was when Dawson's Creek came out. So, even though I think it was shot in 97. So I think Jerry Maguire, I don't know who produced Jerry Maguire.
James Brooks. I
TriStar,
don't.
TriStar.
That's
So I
yeah,
don't,
Sony. Yeah, Sony, Columbia.
so I don't know why they did Jerry Maguire. They had the rights for CW, had the rights or something, or the WB had the rights to it, but
Well, I
I
mean,
don't know.
it was a word type of film, and it was really big box office. So it was part of the general lexicon of the time as really fitting and all, and that's all great. And I mean, I think there's things in this movie that I saw that I appreciate that I wanted to bring to the table with it that I'm not sure that I know you're not big into sports and stuff like that as
Mm.
much,
Not as much, but
but
I'm into sports movies.
there is so many cameos by real
Oh yeah,
athletes
I
in this
saw it at
film.
the end. Like they had the list of playing
Uh,
themselves and stuff. I
yeah.
noticed Troy Aikman.
Mhm. Yeah.
He was the obvious one where he was like, "Why don't we ever be like that?"
Yeah.
And
The
Jay Moore
funny
tried
thing
to hug
is,
him.
the funny thing is the other agents that's right there with him at that moment, with Jay Moore and then Katarina Witt, which was a skater at the time, I think. Lee Steinberg was there, and he's an agent who Cameron Crowe kind of based this movie after. Is the
Nice,
agent that was in that scene at that time. So it's just,
cool.
and I know that Steinberg was a big agent at the time with the NFL players and stuff. So because I just remember, my love of football. So it's um, seeing them and that talk show that they were on at the moment. I think they renamed it for the purpose of the movie, but Roy Firestone was a interviewer from Southern California who had a TV show that did go national where he did interview players and
Did
athletes
he
and
make them
people with it.
cry?
I remember him getting emotional with stuff, but I don't remember that being a big thing of making them cry. But I know
Yeah,
how
each
they
one.
did it in the film. But they did it in the film, and this goes into the writing. Obviously, they set it up at or like earlier in the film, and it paid off at the end. And that
Exactly.
setup payoff, it was
Yeah,
perfect.
if you mention the gun in the first act, it better go off in the third.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
that's sort of what they did is when he said, because I had a feeling, oh, he's going to go on that show at some point and cry because
Hmm.
it's just is just that's a Hollywood thing. But he said, I'm not gonna cry, and then of course he gives him says he gets $11 million and all that. That was, I mean, the story itself was just really, really good.
Hmm.
I enjoyed uh like you said, it's an original movie. It didn't feel like something even today people wouldn't like somebody wouldn't do this movie today. It's too optimistic. And I know Cameron Crowe based a lot of this movie on older films he grew up on, like The Apartment and Billy Wilder movies of that time period, where a
Good,
lot of
good,
it,
good, good, good route to go.
right. And he actually wanted Billy Wilder to play the role of the Fox, the guy that something
All
Fox,
the
the
mentor
mentor,
agent, Dickie Fox,
Dickie
who
Fox.
they interspersed with like levels of wisdom and stuff like that through the whole thing.
Exactly. But he wanted Billy Wilder. So if you look at it, he kind of looks like Billy Wilder, and I think that was sort of the plan was was originally that's who he envisioned as the as the mentor or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I love that because I'm a huge Cameron Crowe fan. Like uh, Almost Famous is like a golden god to me, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the best films of the '90s, in my opinion. So,
Yeah,
and I know it's late '90s, but right, even it's close to 2000. But I know
I think it was
that's like,
2000 exactly.
or okay, so so right at that window, that transformational time, and I think
Yeah.
that, yeah, that was one of the more memorable films of that time area.
And so like I love that movie and I like Jerry Maguire a lot. He also did Fast Times at Ridgemont High that he wrote, he
Yeah,
didn't direct.
yeah, he wrote it.
And
Yeah,
then he
he didn't direct that one, but he wrote it. So
but
yeah,
he directed Say Anything, which is a classic.
yeah,
It's just a little bit more of a I
yeah.
don't know, it's more of a chiller piece than what he does, but it's a great like start, for a
Hmm.
film. And then he did
Yeah.
Singles, which I don't know. Maybe I should rewatch that. I haven't seen it in so long that I think when I
I'm
watched it
okay with it,
originally,
but
I'm not a grunge fan. Like
yeah,
I like Nirvana, but
I think it's a product of its. That's definitely a product of its time, and I think it's
yeah,
very dated.
it's very
But
dated.
yeah,
Jerry Maguire's not dated. I mean, it could be like if this was made in '96, I think it could still be made today because I still think actually it'd probably be even. I wouldn't say I would want a remake or anything because I definitely would not want that. Um, but I would want, but if it were done today, I think the people would still feel the same because the problem with sports agents are they're about the money, right?
mm,
They're about how many clients they get and they don't care about the clients. They care about getting paid. So they will act like they care about the clients, like Bob Sugar, but he really doesn't. He just cares about what he's getting and stuff. And so I did enjoy that because Jerry had two clients, that he felt, whatever. And he spent way too much time.
yeah,
Well,
with Cushman, yeah, with Cushman.
and he also took too much time with the other one too, because that was what made him lose out to because Bob Sugar is a fucking snake in the grass. Like he sees somebody by themselves, he's gonna come on try to say, come join us, leave Jerry. Which I'm like, really? Like, especially like even his one last client, you're trying to take his one last client away. Like you're not even gonna give him that. Like that's just but that's the nature of the beast. That's what, that's how he
Well,
is.
I think Jay Moore's character was written so well because it's not it's big to the story, but it's not a whole lot of screen time there. But he was there a couple times at the very beginning, and it's like when you watch it, you might not catch some of the stuff the first time, but it's like
Hmm.
when you watch it at repeated viewings, it's like you see different things, like when he popped his head in the window, says, "Are we still?" Or in the door, he's like, "Are we still on for lunch?" And then Jerry's like, yeah, yeah, but then Regina King in the background is like, Sugar. He's like, aren't you the one that called you like bye? Because
Yeah,
that was the plotting of him taking. He was already plotting to take all of Jerry's clients, stab
right
him in the back for
before.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like I was just stuff like that, little things that they do with this, and to me,
Um,
that's what works so well. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like the one line where the two guys are together, everybody's clapping about the memo and or the mission statement, and then which I don't that's a memo, not a mission statement. I'm sorry. A mission statement's like short. That's a freaking huge long 27
Yeah,
page. No,
yeah,
that's not a
27.
mission.
And he said
But
he wrote, and Cameron Crowe wrote a 27 pager for that.
yeah, nice.
So
So he in what is it in that scene the guys are like one guy looks over and goes how long do you give him? It's like I give him about a week,
yeah,
right?
that was a Donnell Logue who was I thought was going to become more of a star at the time back then, but he had that little quick cameo as just one of the other agents or guys at the periphery. Eric Stoltz had that cameo in that scene
Eric
too.
Stoltz, but I think Eric Stoltz didn't he work with them on Say Anything? So I think that's why he worked with them again is
I'm
to
trying to remember if he was in Say Anything, but yeah, it was like really quick though. But there's cameos all through this, which we'll get into. But before we get into all the people in it, um, one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this, with and the writing, how I love the writing so much in this is when you know how I got my degree in English with creative writing, journalism, and stuff like that. So creative writing, one of the classes that I took, we actually dissected this screenplay and we
oh wow.
dissected it in the sense of watching the film, comparing the original screenplay to. There wasn't a crazy amount of differences from the version that we got. I know there was so many rewrites and everything, but the version that we had to what became film, and then so this was one of the early things in some of my education in college with writing was this film and I had part of the choosing of it but it was like because they gave us a few different options and then like different groups chose different ones and stuff like that and this was one that we chose and then we truly dissected it so this holds a special place with me on that front because it resonates with me from my education and just from such a and that was a fun time for me too anyways because those classes was um, some people have with school's hard work, and it's hard work, but sometimes it can just be taxing. To me, that was hard work, but it was just pure joy and enjoyment doing it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, so
it's a movie
that's
that I
not a place.
feel like can be dissected, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. So it's like so from the purpose of Alfred maybe not having the fondest memories around this time for that movie or his life or what have you. For me, this holds the exact opposite. It has a very positive thing. One, the stuff for my education with it, but two, working in the theater at the time and the experiences in the theater with the film when it came out, and then combining it all from the sports element, it's just like boom, boom, boom. It's like it's just hits a lot of notes that ring true for me. So
And it's funny because I think I have sort of the in between, with you guys.
mhm.
I didn't have a bad time with it, but I also didn't, like this wasn't something I thoroughly enjoyed when I first watched it. I thought it was a good movie, or whatever, but I don't think, but now as like a filmmaker, and a screenwriter standpoint. I can look back at it and say this was a pretty damn good movie, and you know it's very well written, uh, and I especially love all like the love angle of it,
Mhm.
and the idea that a girl can like be fully in love and everything like that, and the guy is so afraid of intimacy and so afraid of whatever that he's afraid of love, and
Mhm.
he doesn't let that soak in, and he uses sort of everything, he puts it all on the kid instead of on her at all, and that's not a good reason to get married, which
No,
I did love that line where after they got married, and Cuba Gooding Jr. is like, you didn't have that talk with her, did you? And he's like, no. And he's like, wow, you went the other way. you
He's
know,
like, well,
like,
he's like, yeah, you would another way. He's like,
yeah,
that's a different way, different option.
yeah,
But
which was this dumb option,
mhm,
uh, because it was just a way for them to stay, but it
mhm.
wasn't, but even Bonnie Hunt's character was like, no, 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 don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't,
yeah, don't do it. Get in the truck. Get in the truck.
yeah, get in the truck, leave now.
Mhm.
You know, don't
But
talk to.
but she also had some she's like, oh dear, on different things. She's like, oh, and she sees them. She's almost like sort of uh the audience's view of watching the movie and stuff like that, because she's looking out for obviously her sister's best interest, but she also sees what her sister sees from her perspective and all. So it was just, yeah, I like that little dynamic with her and Bonnie Hunt's just
Yeah,
I just enjoy her, and I mean
did,
she's usually more smaller roles, but in
yeah.
like this,
I mean, it
but
was smaller, but it was still a significant
yeah,
role.
yeah.
She so apparently, when they first met, I don't know the exact story exactly, but what I gather is that when they first were on set together, he said, "Oh, it's nice to finally work with you," or something like that, right? And she goes, "We worked together before on Rain Man," and he totally forgot that he worked with her on Rain Man, that he had
I'm
scenes
trying to
with her.
remember Bonnie Hunt in there, and I mean I Rain
Uh,
Man was a movie I enjoyed, but I can't,
See,
it doesn't
maybe that's the
resonate.
thing. Maybe her role wasn't as memorable. Who was she in it? Um, she was Sally Dibbs. So I don't know who that character is exactly, but that's who she played. So,
Yes, I'm interested, like how much screen
yeah,
time she
and maybe like
it,
maybe they had one scene together and like, like,
yeah.
but she'd remember that. But yeah, I kind of
It,
view Tom Cruise as being like M. Bison from Street Fighter, where he has that line like, the day you met M. Bison was the greatest day of your life. For me, it was a Thursday.
yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
to them, it's the greatest day. Like, oh my God, whatever. Like people like that, like, people would be excited to work with them, but then, you know,
yeah.
to him,
From her perspective, but yeah, I mean, I like her just in general. So it's like, so seeing how the film was through her eyes, or what was going on, was interesting. Now, the little kid, what was interesting was he really was in sync with Jerry, and I think that showed really where Jerry's some of his levels of maturity was really kind of down, because I mean the kid was obviously more mature than most kids at that age, but it's like they had a connection at a child level, and now it's because that's what Jerry was on some levels of life. He was kind of a child,
oh
and
yeah,
on some
he
things.
connected
So
with the kid a lot. And what was up with the nanny guy, the Manny? Like, what was up with that guy? Because he was like, I felt like he had a crush on Renee Zellweger's character, and just like maybe she didn't have feelings for him or something. I don't know.
I didn't know if he might not have, was he, I don't know if he was gay or if he didn't have any feelings. I don't know. He was very protective of her though. So
That's what I'm
maybe it was a,
saying. So
yeah,
maybe
maybe it was a brotherly thing.
I don't know. I
But
thought
yeah,
more like he was like he had feelings for her and she didn't have feelings for him.
yeah.
And
Well,
then
he did give him the tape. It's like, if you're going to do this, do it right. And he gave him the tape of like the music and
it's
stuff like that.
terrible, terrible
Yeah,
music. It's
yeah.
awful.
Well,
He's like even Tom Cruise is like, what are we listening to? What
yeah,
kind of music is this? It was
yeah. So
awful.
it's a, but so d obviously the story, just going back to the very beginning with the story, so most movies I think start out, it's like you see a character that has like the arc of the character. It's like you see a snapshot of what Jerry can be in his mission statement and how it affects other people. But so it's like you have a peek inside, deep inside Jerry, but then you see the cutthroat agent that he is, and how, so it's like you don't, so it's like as an audience, usually in film, I don't we don't necessarily, we see maybe a glimpse of it, but we saw that he has really goodness in him, but he's making tons of mistakes and different
Hmm.
things in the way he's acting, and you can see he's just completely Free Fallen, obviously with the Tom Petty song, so he's very much descending into a level of chaos. His whole life is, and brings. But Zellweger's pulled into him because of the statement. I mean, just she's really pulled in by what he could be, and she's obviously has a little bit of somewhat of a crush on him because
Hmm.
she even sees it on the plane where she's just like, oh, and then the kid asks, it's like what's wrong, and she's like, first class, and like they're not part of that and stuff like that, and it's like those little lines are so well done,
Well,
and
and I agree with that. And I agree, but I hate that line because like I've done first class, just recently for my Los Angeles trip. Boring. It was like to me, I don't know, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know, but I was like it other than the fact that I could stretch out my legs or whatever. I mean, and maybe they gave us more sodas, and stuff like that. I didn't see much difference in it, myself. So I don't know. So when she was like, "Oh, it's a better life," I'm like,
a better life. Well, the way I saw it is she was struggling to do every little detail with him to make sure that he was little that Ray was right. She asked for a pillow or something for him for comfort, and she because he spit up in the bag, and then he spit in the bag, and they're like, "Oh, I'll get it for you." So it's like every little detail was a struggle, and then she sees that, and she's like, "Is the escape just that dream scenario that you don't have that first class? You don't have any of these problems?" And the thing is she gets to deal with what she thought was first class in Jerry Maguire, but in reality, Jerry Maguire wasn't first class, if you will. He was very flawed, and he had a lot of problems, immature things he had to grow up and grow into, and that's what the arc of the whole story was: is him realizing that and
mm,
realizing that what was really good he could achieve without hurting people or anything, but then at the same time he couldn't celebrate it without he couldn't truly celebrate it without her being there, and that's when he realized that how much in love he was, and I mean that's pure romance there. And then going
yeah,
back and all that, but
yeah. I mean, at the end where seeing, uh, he's seeing everything at the end, like he's seeing Rod, and he like that's just I don't know, all that emotion and all that stuff just made him think about her, how
yep,
much she cared about her. And even like when he picks up the phone and he thinks it's her, and then it turns out to be the wife, Rod's wife, and he's just like, never mind, right? He's like thinking about it. He's like, that's what I want. That's how I feel. I don't know though. Like, do you think he's does feel love for her or whatever by the end? Because like, I'm a little, I don't know.
I to me it was to me he completely broke down when he saw that she or that Rod was able to celebrate with his family and everything, and then every that he saw the relationship that Rod had with Regina King's character. I can't remember her first name, Marcy. Um, when they got that happiness together, and what was Jerry after that? Yes, he got the as an agent, he got the money and stuff like that, but who could he celebrate it with? He had no one there. And why didn't he have no one? He have anyone there? Because he kept pushing his love away, and that's why he completely broke down, went back to her, and was like, "I." He's like, "It's not right without you here." He's like, "I can have all the victories in the world; it doesn't matter." And to me, that's like it just felt pure. At that point, he had his realization, and that and he had at that moment, if he could have her together, then he would have what Rod and Marcy basically had or have. And then to me, that was just I thought that was just perfect. And
Okay.
uh, the
I'm
quintessential romantic in me on that part, I guess. I don't know, but
I just like that was the problem I sort of have. It's just like, you know, he just you could tell for most of the time he just didn't love her. Like he liked her a lot. He thought very much of her, but he wasn't in love with her, and I don't think he was in love with anybody. Like I don't think he was in love with Kelly Preston's character.
oh no, he
Um,
wasn't with her.
he wasn't he was just and but he was in love with the kid. Absolutely 100%. He taught whenever he saw the kid, his eyes glowed. He got to be a big kid again, and I think that's what he wanted most of all, to be a father. But the problem is, I mean, unless you have like an arrangement like that where okay, you're going to be the stepfather, but we're not in love,
Mhm.
then,
Yeah,
but that's not what she wanted.
yeah.
She wanted.
Well, maybe it's the uh, I know, speaking for me personally, that I wanted somebody to share my life with, and when I had that, it's like, okay, in my mind, it's like it's not about me celebrating everything on my own. It's like I want to have Amber there, and if she's there, then it makes it perfect. It makes it right. It makes it together, and that's why, from being married and now, as a when I saw this is before I even knew her. It was like 6 7 years prior to that, so I didn't have that at that time. So in some ways I could relate to more of the, I don't say playboy element, but yeah, I know with the black book that they had at the beginning of the jokes and stuff like that, I relate it more towards that. And once at the end, it's like he's standing there and it's like he sees all this celebration. He realizes within himself that it's like, he's like, yes, I won. I'm victorious. I got the deal. I'm going to get the deal for my client. But who do I really have to celebrate it with? Myself. And he's like, and
But
that can be
I,
very empty.
but was that love? Like,
I
was
think
that?
so.
I
I
don't
think so
know.
because he knew he couldn't celebrate it without her, and that goes into the whole thing of "you complete me." I know now it seems kind of like it could be kind of cheesy because it's been this movie's
Yeah.
become so generally part of the lexicon of society that, but at the time it's original, and and that's a payoff in itself because they have the two, the deaf guy, the one that's deaf in the elevator with it, and she sort of chuckles and she's like, he's like, what did you say? He says, you complete me. He didn't get it then. He got it at the end. And that's why he said it. He relayed it back to her. And I was like, that's a payoff from the beginning, but it's also an evolution of his character in my mind. Now,
And that was
obviously, different people have
interest
different things.
and that was interesting that was the scene. That was the scene where after she had gone with him, she was the only one to take the chance with him, and she's in
Mm-hmm.
the elevator right next to these
Mm-hmm.
things, and that's where the guy says, you complete me, and what is it in sign
The
language?
sign language, yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess that's right. I mean, when he didn't realize it at the time because they weren't dating, they were in a work related
Mm-hmm.
relationship. I do love that line in the movie where he's like, I feel like Clarence Thomas. And she's like, don't feel like Clarence Thomas, right? It was like, I
Yeah.
just don't, I just don't want to feel like I'm harassing you. And she was like, I wouldn't sue, right? And
Well, he's thinking from a purely business standpoint because she's in love with him. I mean, and she falls in love with him, but she's also so mentally mature, much more than he is through most of the film. So it's like she's grown up, she's raising a kid, she's being everything responsible and stuff like that. But she sees this inspiration of who
she
the ideal is for her. So
becomes
she's a
very irresponsible around him.
she does
Yeah,
she
because
does.
she's reckless. Like, even Bunny Hunt's like trying to tell her, "Don't. What are you
Hmm.
doing? Why are you? Because like she could take that San Diego job,
Yeah.
right? But she won't because of him or whatever and stuff. And
But
I mean,
that's what, to me, that's what love can do to people, that when they, so she's really a strong-willed, strong-natured, uh, single mom, that she's so strong-willed. It's in a good way, but yet she is a hopeless romantic, and that makes her make some decisions that may or may not be the most responsible, but it's love. In her mind, she was ready for that. He wasn't at the
mhm.
time. And then some of the stuff where it's like they got married for the really the wrong reasons. I could make, I could probably argue the point of they probably shouldn't have got married because she probably is more responsible to do something like that, but she is also so in love that sometimes love makes you do things that might not be the most rational decisions. So it's like that's that interesting thing of how they addressed it and how Crow really took to this, and it's something that he's really good at doing, like with Say Anything and some of his other stuff. Um, I know a lot of people don't like this one of his as much, but Elizabethtown is another one of his films that I kind of
I
enjoy.
haven't really watched it. I
Yeah,
have watched
it's
We Bought a
it
Zoo.
doesn't. Yeah, it's not that as big as some of these other ones, but yeah,
I watched We Bought a Zoo, and I own Aloha, but I felt like Aloha was kind of boring,
yeah.
for Crow. Like I felt like I I feel like he's missing the Crow spark that he has. Maybe that's because he's older, He's kind of, and I feel like maybe he's done, because he did this, then he did Almost Famous, then he did
Mhm.
Vanilla Sky, which is completely different territory than he's ever done. Which I think
But
is a
not,
movie Paul likes. I think
yeah.
Paul likes that one.
Well, the thing with Vanilla Sky that's different than all these other ones is that's based off of another film. So
Yeah.
it's another project. So it's not created. It's not his own entity, if you will. So he
Right,
had
but
to
he
basically adjust.
brings himself into it, and you can sort
Yeah,
of tell a little
yeah,
bit of it.
yeah.
But yeah, We Bought a Zoo was also based
Hmm.
on a book or whatever.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
that one was that one was cute. I
yeah.
really enjoyed, but I watched that with my parents who enjoyed it a lot
Hmm.
and stuff. And but that's the thing, like, a movie where, you know, the like this, where it's very Tom Cruise centered. It's
Hmm.
about his life. It's about his love affair. Love stuff. It's about his work stuff. He's very, even though I think she also mentions it at one point, is that he's a very different person when he's in work mode,
Hmm.
than when he is like outside and being personal and everything. And that's because he has to be, because that is sort of the attitude and everything in the world of sports agency. You have to be rude, you have to be, you know, sly or like that
Yeah.
scene. My One of my favorite scenes in the movie is a scene where he is talking to uh Cush, I think it was Cush, yeah, Cushman, and he's having a good time, and he's trying to get them to, like, realize that they're not going to get their deal that they want,
Hmm.
because of whatever. And then he gets a phone call. There's a phone call, he answers it, and it's fucking Jay Moore going off and saying, basically first sniff if he's around, if Maguire's around, and so he sniffs and he says, "All right, just let your daddy do all the work. Don't tell him, blah blah blah." And that's when he's like, "Uh-huh." So he hangs up and he says, "Hey, let's make sure we got something ink that says you're with me, right?" And he's like, "No,
My
I can't do that right now." And it's like,
my word is as good as oak, or my bond is as good as oak tree, or something like
that
that.
was Bo Bridges, man.
Yeah, and Jerry
Uncredited, by the way.
O'Connell, and
And Jerry
Jerry
O'Connell.
O'Connell. Well, he was
And
credited, but yeah,
yeah, but yeah, Jerry O'Connell, but uh it's so funny because, like, Bo Bridges, it was a part of my youth, by the way.
hmm,
Like, he was in Sidekicks, he
hmm.
was in The Wizard, like, he's still alive. I swear, I was like, oh man, I hope he's not dead, because I haven't heard anything from him in
I
a
haven't
while. But
seen.
he's,
I don't recall seeing him in anything
yeah,
recently. So it's like the last
yeah.
number of
So I'm
years.
like,
So
that's why I was like, I hope he's not, passed away. But he's still alive. He's like, I think he's probably close to his 80s, 70s, 80s, that area. And so, very one of the underrated actors, man. I was very sad that he never got like a really big, you know, starring role in something like where he's the lead.
yeah,
But
he never got that straight, that like his brother, or I guess
like his brother
what are they?
Jeff, or even his father Lloyd, was pretty big, whatever. Like, he was in the was the Hot Shots movies, I think.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah, the goofy ones in the airplanes and
Yeah. I don't think was he in the airplane? He might have been in the airplane.
who well Lloyd was yeah, he's like I guess I picked the wrong time to stop sniffing
Yep.
glue. And all
Right. He
those
was
and
not.
all of them.
Okay. So he was definitely in a lot of Jim Abrams stuff. I think he was even in, if I'm correct, he was even in Mafia, which was the last of the Jim Abrams uh parody stuff that
Yeah.
they did. But I absolutely just, I mean, honestly, this movie had so many great actors, so much great writing. I mean, it was almost, I would say it's almost a perfect movie, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And something that Cameron Crowe really resonates with him and he puts in his films is he uses music so well. And
Hmm.
like the free fall reference I made
Free
earlier.
Fallen.
Yeah, having the Springsteen song Secret Garden, that to me that's just that's like a romantic song. It just
It
fits.
goes back to like Almost Famous, where it
Hmm.
talks about the true story of Cameron Crowe,
Yeah.
just probably a little fictionalized because, I guess he didn't want to do a biopic, or about his life. But he did, I mean, a lot of it's real stuff where he did write for the Rolling Stone for a little bit, and later I mean, I think it would be great. Like the one last movie he should do, like his, if he's like Tarantino, is like, I'm gonna do one last movie. It should be the story of him, really, of him being in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where he was, because his whole thing was like he wrote a article about himself going into what is it, into high school and pretending to be a high
Hmm.
school student in order uh to write the script or whatever, or book. I think it was originally, it was a book and
Yeah.
stuff, and then it turned into a script, and he turned into a script, and then he gave it, Amy Heckerling directed it. But uh could you imagine the stuff in real life that he got to see, that he spied around with? I know some of it's in Fast Times
In
at
Fast
Ridgemont
Times.
High, but imagine the stuff he didn't put in there, and everything. And I like, man, if I ever got a chance to like sit down with Cameron Crowe like he did with Billy Wilder, because he wrote a whole book called Conversations with Wilder. I used to own it. I don't know whatever happened to it. I need to buy it again. But it's a great book where it's interviews with him, where he's going through his whole career, like every movie he's Billy Wilder had ever done, and asking him questions about it, and what was it like working on this, and all that stuff. Great book. But if I could ever just sit down with Cameron Crowe and do conversations with Crowe, and do a thing where I just chat with him about um chat with him about this stuff, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like about uh how he got Fast Times at Ridgemont High and all that. I would love to see it get, like I said, I'd love to see it get made into a movie, about him being in, being a fake kid in high school, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Now with him and obviously directing this, he chose the casting of Cruise and Zellweger. And I read that who the original and I didn't realize who the original was, the two that was chosen, and one of them is like one of my favorite actresses over the years. So I was just like, wow,
Who?
I didn't know that. This was originally written and designed. It was originally going to be for Tom Hanks, and I'm glad they went with. I think both of them they went with right, and it was going to be Tom Hanks and Winona Ryder,
Oh, that'd be
and
interesting.
they said Winona Ryder was going to be cast, but she looked like almost like a brother sister to Cruise, so it didn't look like a romantic
Uh,
contrast, if you will, and I 100% agree with that. As much as I love Winona, this Zellweger was much better for this role as it was portrayed in this film.
was
Now, if they
this
would have done with
before or after she shoplifted?
I think this was before.
This was
Um,
before she shoplifted, because for
yeah,
a little while she was not
yeah,
a,
she's sort of persona non grata.
yeah, people kind of
Yeah,
didn't want to work with her, and now I mean, obviously through Stranger Things and
Yeah.
everything, she had sort of resurgence for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
this was before the following years when Alien Resurrection came out. So it would have been Boys was in that area,
Tom
and
Hanks would
then
have been. I don't know if I would have liked Tom
yeah,
Hanks
I
in
think they
that
said he
role.
was doing That Thing You Do or something like that. Why he wasn't available, but sometimes we've seen many stories of who was originally cast in roles or who was trying to get it or whatever, and for whatever
I've
reason
heard
it
other
wasn't them.
stories too about this. Like, let me.
But I'm glad these two because I mean Zellweger that she said she was almost broke that she couldn't even really had any money or
Yeah,
anything like that
yeah,
at the
I
moment
read
that she was
that.
cast in this, and I'm like wow, it's like, but she seems, and I remember when this came out, it was like Cruise was like a megastar, and she was just like propped into being the romantic lead in a movie with Cruise. It was just like whoa. I mean, this is going from like I don't say obscurity because she did have some other credits, but she got put straight into the limelight with this,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and that's kind of big shoes to fill. I mean, but she just had such uh, a confident single mom demeanor that just in her expressions and stuff like that, she seemed very normal and I like a normal everyday type person in what the role needed, obviously, but it was exact opposite of what Kelly Preston brought to the role and Kelly Preston in that character. So it was like it was a perfect casting, if you will, with her. And I'm trying to remember where Zellweger was with other stuff at that time. I'm trying to think what she did before that. It would have been like Chainsaw New Generation was I think right around that time as well,
Yeah, she had
maybe a few
done
years
Empire
before.
Records like right before.
Okay, so she had that, but that was Empire Records wasn't like and then she had a number of other smaller films, and then like I said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next
Sad
Generation. I
that
remember that.
Empire Records wasn't that big. It deserved to be bigger. It needs a blue. It does not. It might have a blue. It needs a 4K for sure. You know,
Oh, I'd love to have that on 4K.
Empire
Yeah.
Records, even though it doesn't
Oh, yeah.
it's not beautifully shot or anything, but it's such like I want all my favorite movies, to always be in
Mhm.
whatever like the next upgrade is. So if it's in um 4K, you have a 4K television, right? And
Oh yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know, that's by the way, the studio will be or has already got a 4K television. We got
I
one
saw the
at that.
video of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
You
And
got a bit
then
of it.
we're gonna get I gotta get a stand for it, and then I want to get a 4K Blu-ray player, and that's gonna be after Christmas, all of that
And I,
stuff.
and I think having the right TV, right display in there with the studio is going to allow us not just for doing stuff for podcast and viewing of stuff like that, but also to show some of the footage and show the different things that we do and have it on a much better presentation to a larger audience and to
Yeah,
share with people that'll be there.
we want it to be as big as possible. I mean, I if I could afford it, I would have got like a 90-foot thing, but we definitely don't have anything to put that on,
Like some of like the 90-inch TV that'd take up the
90-inch
whole
TV.
room.
Yeah. One day that'll be the thing. We'll get one of those big ass things. And then we'll have people come over and watch the movies with us.
Mhm.
I mean, that's another thing I want to do is I get really upset when I see these people that show off their like movie room and they actually have like like movie chairs,
Mhm.
reclining chairs and stuff that look like movie stuff. And I'm like, damn it, how do you have this and like in a regular in your home? This drives me crazy, I'm like,
Well, I've already. I mean, what thing for me is in our next house, whenever that is, I said that I want to have a basement with a couple rooms in the basement, and it's going to have like a video store type of setup at the bottom, having all the movies and a pool table and different things like that. A couple games, machines and stuff like that, Miss Pac-Man stuff like that. But I also want to have a theater room, in the theater room to have something like people have with that and having the whole reclining seats and the theater experience basically at home.
yeah,
Uh,
I think
that,
that's
that's
where
that's sort of the
like
dream thing.
that's where things are going toward anyway for stuff. You're
Hmm.
talking about the
Yeah,
theater before and seeing this, and you're talking about splicing things together. They don't fucking do that anymore. They everything's
yeah,
digital now, so like,
yeah. You just got to have the right. You just got to have the right computer and programs to do stuff now, and then you can display something on a dime just like that. You don't have to. You don't have to put transport the films between studio or theaters and stuff like that. And a lot of stuff is getting viewed more at home, and that's kind of scary with the way that some of these companies are talking about buying each other out and stuff like that. It's like streaming's great, but
but that's the thing
physical
though,
media
like,
and there's still something about. I know I get frustrated at times in the theaters with other people's behavior, acting up and stuff like that, but there is a communal experience in seeing something in a large audience. And
and what I heard, and this was like one of the Disney executives, probably the big executive or whatever, but they were talking about that theaters are gonna have to change. Like they're gonna have to. It's gonna have to end up being like Broadway, where like people are gonna get dressed up to go to it. It's gonna cost like $50 to $60 a ticket to go see it because it's an event. It's not. That's what they're sort of saying that it's gonna go toward because right now nobody wants to go unless it's a Deadpool and Wolverine, unless it's an event, and everything like that. Nobody wants to go see, and then the only reason people went to see that was because there's no other Marvel movie being shown that month or that year. And that goes to show Marvel that you do one and people will come out in droves if they're interested in the one you're doing. So I think they're sort of learning that because this year was pretty poor, box office wise.
yeah, and now it's like it's the movies that are coming out now. I mean, I'm more amped when I go see movies, the smaller movies that just come out on the like that aren't even going to really get any sort of footing into a national sense, and they don't do maybe 1 million, 2 million in the theaters. Those are the ones I look forward to more than going to see whatever the Five Nights at Freddy's or the Wicked or those I'll watch, but it's like it's not that to me that's not magic anymore. The magic is usually the smaller stuff because
Mhm.
um or everything's CGI now, and it's like, okay, you got great technology. Do you have great storytelling? And also the older ones, like I was watching clips of Gremlins last night, and it's like because Christmas,
Yeah, it's Christmas. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like seeing the puppets and stuff like that, how they did all that. It's like that's to me that's magic. I mean, technology. I mean, everybody the CGI stuff. It might look good, but it doesn't look real per se. And that was unfortunately when I saw Wicked, the new Wicked. I was like, the first one had a little bit more of a classic feel to it. The second one seemed more just CGI madness, and to me that's kind of a letdown. That wasn't a bad movie per se, but it's not what I need to really go out to see. And seeing movies like this, like going back to Jerry Maguire or some of the older, smaller stuff, it's like I'll go see something that's smaller, and I'm so amped to see it because it's
I'm
just
excited to see Ella McKay, which is
yeah,
also
yeah,
directed by James L. Brooks, who produced this movie, Jerry
yeah.
Maguire.
Now
Um,
that just seems like an original idea. I mean, it's probably wrong. It's probably going to be similar to some of the other stuff, but it's interesting, and I hope a movie like that does well because I want to see more movies done like that, not just because if they don't do well, then we're not going to get them
well,
in the
no,
theaters.
you'll always get a James L. Brooks movie, and it'll feel like a James L. Brooks movie,
Yeah, but
until the day
what
that he
happens
passes, and then he
exactly?
won't.
What happens when he's gone? It's like, I mean, it's just those movies are becoming much more the
Yeah.
exception than the norm.
Like I said, that's what I feel like Bob Iger when I think that was who said that it's gonna need it's gonna have to be the theaters are gonna have to, there's gonna have to be stuff that draws them in. I watched Predator Badlands with my dad, and we watched the 4XD or whatever 4DXD experience where they like push you around and and things pop out of you. My dad was having a blast. He was like, ah, right? And he started laughing, about it. Then have you've seen Predator Badlands, right?
Yeah, I was a mere peasant seeing it only in IMAX 3D compared to the 4X experience.
Well, I mean, that was the most
But I still saw it
expensive.
IMAX in 3D. So
Those were the most expensive tickets my dad ever bought, he said. And he said that was it was like 50 something dollars
well,
total.
yeah, it was California too. So it was like on top of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that. But I mean, I saw mine. It was part of my pass, obviously. But
And we also watched
uh,
at the Chinese theater, so like it's the,
that was
right.
the experience. That was the
That
experience.
was an experience. It was wonderful. Then
Yeah.
we went to the Vista Theater that's owned by uh Quentin Tarantino and watched Richard Linklater's new movie that's on Netflix and everything. Novello Vague. It was that was great too. A lot of fun. Especially if you like movies about making movies. It's about the new wave stuff and it's just wonderfully done.
Yeah. I'm
But
looking forward to seeing that on, but it's like,
it's on
uh,
Netflix.
yeah, watching it at home. I mean, yes, I got a nice setup and stuff like that, but I mean, that would have been a movie that I would have liked to see it on the big screen, but
Right, but
it's just not
honestly,
possible.
it's not needed on the big screen. Like, there's some movies I feel like, I mean, Ella McKay, I'm excited to see on the big screen just because, like you said, you don't get that much, to get
Mhm.
those to see those much, and it's nice to see them. But you know what I'm also really excited to see? Silent Night, Deadly Night. Just because it looks balls to the wall bonkers. And I'm just like,
And I saw that's not even going to be. It's not rated. It's with on my app for AMC. It said not rated. I was like, really? I was like, I don't know if that's just a misprint or if they really have gone through and done not rated
I
stuff like
don't
they
know
did
how
like
they did
Terror.
that, but that's because,
Well, like Terrifier 3 would came out non-rated, I believe. The one
uh,
we had that. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the case. But now that's a remake, but it's like I think that it's going to be a remake, but it's going to be its own its own thing.
I mean, Friday Nights at Freddy's 2, I was happy to see, but I didn't see part one in the theater. I saw it on Blu-ray with my friend before I watched the next one because I had to watch the first one. And then I reviewed that. So we're still planning to review it at some point. I don't know if by
Yeah,
the time this comes out, it'll already be out that we reviewed it. But it was
yeah.
it was okay. I mean, it was
I
fun.
I
I enjoyed
I
it. I mean,
I really disliked it. I really disliked it.
well,
And
do
I
you
walked
play
out.
the
It was
games?
fun. No, and but
And
I like the idea of what it's of the idea of that like going to a place. But when I talked to the manager at AMC prior to it, so like that, then I was going in there and I came out and I was like, I know I'm not the demographic for it, but I do like that type of movie in general. But I was like, to me, it was just very poorly made and it was just very dumbed down, and it seemed people were disinterested, and it made no coherent plot to it to me.
yeah,
Now
well,
there was people there busting up laughing, so I was like, so I think I wasn't the intended audience, but
yeah. The intended audience
whatever.
was my friend who's played the video
Yeah,
games, knows all the lore, got excited when she saw certain monsters or certain, puppets or whatever, those things.
yeah.
And people like that. Was that Ken? Was the Ken the one, the manager you were talking to, or
No, it was actually the manager of the theater. So, which I know you don't, I'm not,
I don't
you don't
know,
know this
but
guy.
all
Yeah,
I know is
Ken
Ken.
wasn't there, but yeah, but I talked to him, and after I walked out, I was just like, I'm doing a double because there's new movies coming out that night, and I said I'm going to watch this other one, and I was like, I need to watch this Taste of Freddy's out, and I
Mm,
watched a small film. I don't know if you've heard of it called uh, Fockham Hall. Um,
no.
it's basically British people made it that it's like sort of an airplane and stuff like that on the Downton Abbey type movies.
Oh God, that sounds terrible.
It
Uh,
was not it was funny as all get out. And to
I
me,
don't I don't
I
follow
loved it.
Downton Abbey. I don't know any of that stuff, so that would be
But yeah, it was like it was to me it was that humor was I was like okay, I haven't seen a movie like that that's really hit in a while. So it and I think right now a blank screen would have probably turned better for me off of Freddy's, but um it it was a nice and it's type movie that's a very little movie. It's not gonna have any sort of footing at the theaters. It'll probably be gone within a week anyways. But it was a good laugh. I mean, I had some good laughs
Yeah.
with it, and those are the type of movies that, unfortunately, and I'm not saying that they have no chance now. There's no chance because in the theaters, it's like, especially during the holiday time, they're going to put like Wicked. I think when it first came out that first weekend, I was like, what happened to all the small films or the other films? Because I missed the DiCaprio film. I wanted to see that, but I missed that.
Oh, the one
They said
battle
that,
after another.
yeah, I wanted to see that, and I missed
Yeah.
that. It's gone.
The
But they said, well, we have to put Wicked on, and Wicked was on 12 of their 24 screens the opening
wow.
weekend, and I'm just like, that just completely obliterated. And then Zootopia came out, and that took another 6 or 8 or
Yep.
whatever. So I was like, that it completely obliterated the field. There was nothing left, and it's because of what the theater experience is now, and they have to cater to that. I completely understand why they did it. It's unfortunate they had to, but.
Um, but that's true. And the window of time is what bothers me now,
Mhm.
is that even with the Netflix deal that's going with Warner Brothers, the guy who runs Netflix, the owner of Netflix, who's constantly said theater is dead and and dying. They don't have any interest in theater. They put out that Richard Linklater movie for a little bit, and the reason they did that was so that it could go
Lots
for
of awards.
awards. So we'll go for awards. Other than that, Frankenstein was up, and I think that was a Netflix original,
I
or
would have
whatever.
loved to seen that in the theater.
That was
But
one when we were planning, but it was at like 7,
the
and we
time
were
didn't
at
work. Yeah.
6 o'clock, and the only movie that was playing at 6 o'clock was Predator Badlands, and my dad was like, "We want to see Predator Badlands." I was like, "You're gonna watch a Predator movie?" It was like, "Yeah, if it's in this theater, sure, yeah." I'm like,
Mhm.
ah, I'm gonna say yes. I mean, like, you don't get that opportunity. My dad does. He did watch Frankenstein, and he said it was
Mhm.
dumb.
No.
You know.
The thing is, and whether it's Netflix that ends up ultimately buying Warner Bros., which it looks like it is, or whether Paramount. 'Cause I know there's talk of which, and it may be resolved by the time people are hearing some of this. But uh, one problem is the impact in the theater going, because the theater going is dying to a degree, and how it's going to respond to that. It won't completely go away. It might just change. One is how it's going to impact that, and two is streaming. Netflix does not put much of their stuff out, much if any, on physical media. And I know
Yep.
physical media is kind of more of a niche crowd, but it's unfortunate that there's so many films being made by Netflix right now that we can't own, because
Right.
physically own, and that just sucks. It really
And
sucks.
yeah, and they really have a terrible like uh physical media outlet. Um, they only put out like the Stranger Things, on
Yeah,
Blu-ray because they have to, or
yeah.
whatever.
And they put like The
But
Irishman came out, but I think that was Criterion or something.
yeah, they put it so okay, so there's a couple talks of different things. I guess this is going off on sorry, another little tangent. We're used to that. People who listen to our show should get used to that by now. But like so Netflix has like these ideas like so they might put it out on DVD, Blu-ray, probably Blu-ray 4K for the bigger titles, or
Mhm.
whatever. If they go with Warner Brothers, um, if that happens, because we're still like we've got like I don't know 7 days maybe or even 8 days or something where that's now. So we might be closer to the announcement when this comes out, where they're gonna decide who they're gonna go with, like necessarily because Paramount just made that hostile bid, for it. But Warner Brothers doesn't like Paramount, or whatever. They would rather go with Netflix.
Well, they've been
Um,
rivals for a century,
I know, but
literally.
like I would prefer Paramount to own them just because I think Paramount has a good physical media outlet. But
Mhm.
what might end up happening is they do what you said. They might put them in boutique stuff. So Warner Brothers usually had a deal with Netflix where they or not Netflix with Criterion and Arrow and all these other companies, and you might start seeing like it they won't do it for like DC. DC would probably still be theatrical and would still get a really Warner Brothers, thing. But
Mhm.
like some of their smaller titles, or whatever, like that One Battle After Another might, might get on Criterion, because
Mhm.
it's a P.T. Anderson movie, I believe,
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah, it's
So
going to have award consideration and stuff like
more
that. Yeah,
consideration. It's more of a movie. Sinners would have been, perfect for Criterion or Arrow, or something. So that's most likely what's happening.
yeah.
But
A
we'll
fear that
see.
I have with now the home media is one aspect of it. The theater going on the other side, what I'm fearful of happening is yes, for the next year, say Netflix buys Warner Brothers, the next year or two, all the stuff that's in the pike for Warner Brothers, they might say yes, we're going to put all that stuff out in the theaters and stuff like that. But what's going to happen when Netflix starts controls the green lighting of what Warner Brothers does next? What are they going to do on that? Because there's not going to be 100% commitment that they have to put it out in the theaters at that
Mm.
point. Is that when it's going to start winding down and coming completely away from theaters or let more away from theaters? And that's what I'm afraid of because I
And
like the theaters, even though they put it out 17 days later.
what's the window? Is it going to be 17 days or is
Yeah.
it going to be even less now?
Yep.
Are they only going to give you like 2 weeks, to watch the movie? And that's definitely not
Hold on
enough
one second.
time.
Sorry for the technical difficulty there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah, I can barely hear you though.
you. Hmm. Ah, what is going on with you?
Sorry about that.
Oh, I can hear you better. Can you
I'll
hear
put
me?
it. Oh yeah, you're on speaker now, so we're
Okay,
good.
good. All right. Well, so anyway, like I'm
Yep.
saying, like it might be like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever that they put it out, and then it's gonna go bye bye. And
Yep.
Paul was talking about it because he went to go see, um, he went to go see what is it, the Mad Max Fury Road, not Fury Road, it's the Furiosa movie,
Here you are.
right? And he said that it was great, and it would have done better had they given it more time, in
Yep.
the theater. But I mean,
Yeah. Nowadays it's like so. I guess on that note, it's kind of with Jerry Maguire. I know I always talk about this.
yep.
I'm gonna segue to like when it came out. We talked earlier when it came out, December 13th, 1996. So 29 years ago. So it opened up number one at the box office, $50 million budget. It did 17 million in its opening week, and I know it broke over 100 in its grand total. I don't,
So did
and I
double its budget.
yeah, it's actually worldwide domestic it says 153.
Okay.
So yeah, it made a nice turn there, and then whatever it did overseas on top of that. Now I know I read something that it came out at number one, but it holds a record as of like 10 years ago. I think I read on the IMDb as like the lowest number one movie that was number one any given week. And it was like in week seven, it was number one at like $5.5 million for the weekend. Now, this is obviously not considering COVID and maybe even current times, but it was like, I guess the awards time. It made its way back up to number one with just a very slow week, obviously. And that would have been in early 97. But it did open up at number one. And like I said, it made pretty good bank overall. Other movies that came out that weekend, that's kind of funny, was number two movie, Mars Attacks.
Nice.
Yeah, and I remember that. I love that movie. Um, then there was in its third week of release, it looks like 101 Dalmatians. I think that's the animated re-release, but it
Hmm.
could have been the live action. I don't know. And then I guess I could check to make sure it was the Glenn Close version.
Okay.
So yeah, so wasn't a re-release. That was the original one of the live actions. Then there was Preacher's Wife opened up too, and that was I don't know if you remember that movie or not. It
Yeah.
has Angela, I think it's Angela Bassett, Whitney Houston,
Yeah. Yeah, I
stuff like
remember
that.
that.
Courtney Vance,
I
Courtney
never
B.
watched
Vance.
it, but like I
Yeah.
know it sounded like a chick flick to me, like
Yeah.
something I would be
What,
interested
so it's kind of funny that number three and four, those were both Disney films. Because Preacher's Wife's owned by those Disney Studios. Number five was in the second week, Daylight, Stallone.
in. Oh
So
yeah, I hated that movie.
um, you said you hated that movie?
Yeah, it's dumb. You
Yeah,
know.
it was action. 6 was Jingle All the Way, so we were going
But I
into
was
Christmas
thinking
time.
about it the other day when I went under the tunnel. I hadn't been in the tunnel in a while. I was like, oh, just like daylight, it could all of a sudden we're dead. You
Yeah, you
know,
don't. So, number 6 was Jingle All the Way in its fourth week of release.
was another
7,
Christmas movie, perfect
yep,
kind of time for it.
yep. Number 7 in its fourth week, Star Trek: First Contact. So, Generation.
I'm not a Star Trek fan, so
Yeah. Number 8 was in its sixth week of release was Ransom, the Mel Gibson film.
nice.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
Number
fun.
9, number 9 live action anime film, Space Jam, the
Space
family film,
Jam.
all the Warner Brothers stuff, and Michael Jordan. Then number 10 was The English Patient in its fifth week of release.
So
Um,
Jerry Maguire's number one.
yeah, it was number 1. What was interesting is when you get to like the 6 through like 15 area, including 15 was Independence Day in its 24th week of release. So that was hanging
Wait,
around
what?
for a while. Independence Day was number 15.
Oh, that was 96, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was in its 24th week of release, and it was number 15 at the box
Nice.
office.
I
But
love
my
that movie.
but my point between number 6 and number 14, everything was like in its fourth, well, one was third, but fourth to sixth week of release. So they were letting stuff resonate a little bit in the theater. So
Mhm.
to what you were saying about Paul said about Fury Road or Furiosa, that was given a little bit of time. Or not given the time, and back then they were given stuff a little bit of time, even though it wasn't making a huge bank.
Look what happened with Deadpool and Wolverine. They gave it more time too. You
Mhm.
know, they wanted to milk that and get as much money from that as they could. I don't
Mhm.
understand why they don't do that still. I mean, it doesn't, for somebody who wants money, you know, or whatever, give it at least 2 to 3 months of being in the theater. Problem is, I think, is that there's just too many movies being made, maybe, you know,
Yeah, they
and
wanted to
all
put all
these.
these little ones out at least on one. And an interesting thing too, and the guy at the theater, the manager there that I was talking to, he made a nice point that he's like, so we can't keep these movies longer because it's not like how the theaters was 20, 30 years ago when they had the nice reclining seats. They had more seats in the theater because they didn't have the big reclining seats, so they could have
Mhm.
more seats to where you didn't have to say Wicked didn't have to be on 12 screens of the 24. It only needed to be, and it could have the same amount of seats being on 8 screens or 6 screens and stuff like that. So stuff could stick around. I mean, I remember working in the theater and no movie got put on two or when I was at the 14 screen theater, I think 3 or 4 screens was probably the tops, and that anything ever got. And so I don't know. It's just it's sad when you see what's going on at the theaters. But it's like I will say that whenever I'm going, I try to pick a time when there's going to be minimal people there because people just don't know how to act in a lot of these places. Um, and one last note on the box office stuff that Jerry Maguire was number 1. The last movie listed on here at number 17 was also a Tom Cruise film. It was Mission Impossible in its 30th week of release. It made a whole $745 that weekend.
Wait,
So
on,
in
whoa,
96,
wow,
Mission Impossible was number 17 at the box office
that's
in its
funny.
30th in its 30. So he had the top and the bottom what they're tracking here on this list anyway.
Right,
So
and once again, that probably was a bigger hit, period, than Jerry
um
Maguire, you know.
yeah, at the time, well, Mission Impossible made 181. And
Nice.
I think what it said, I read somewhere that this was a stretch that Tom Cruise had that he had like 5 to 7 straight movies that made over $100 million.
Yeah.
So um,
I mean, he was a movie. He still is a movie star. Like,
I think he might be the last movie star from that's purely bankable, everything theatrical from that generation. Because now it's like I
eh,
mean, you get stuff that comes on streaming and everything else. I don't
yeah,
think Cruise does anything that
yeah,
streams.
Kevin Costner can't even do that anymore. Like
Yeah,
he's done.
yeah,
Mel
yeah. I mean,
Gibson, you know,
yeah, he's doing his stuff comes out minimal release and it's usually streaming. Like I remember, like Fat Man, and he has all those little ones that's come out
yeah,
straight to streaming. And I think Lethal Weapon 5 will get the theatrical treatment, a
or
big theatrical
Passion of the
treatment.
Christ too, you know, might
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
directs.
So, and,
Um, I don't know. But you're right. I think Tom Cruise is like the last movie star of
yeah,
like a whole different
yeah.
world and everything. We have the movie stars we have now are like Bradley Cooper, or Ryan Gosling or whatever,
Yeah.
but like they're not Tom Cruise,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they're all great in their own rights, and I'm not trying to diminish anybody.
No, nobody.
It's just
And
it's
we're
just
not
Cruise.
Tarantino. We're not talking trash about people here.
Yeah,
We're saying
exactly.
nothing
It's
but
like
nice things.
it's
We
just
love
Cruise
Matthew
has
Lillard, by the way.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
Matthew Lillard. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but back with Cruise, it's like I mean he's he's probably the only actor or actress right now that's going to get a massive release from everything he's doing, and even that's starting to take a little bit of a hit because the Mission Impossible last one of that didn't do what I think they were hoping and expecting. But it's just his stuff when he makes a movie, it's an event,
Mhm.
and it's not as often with a lot of other stars now. Is streaming playing a big part of that? Possibly, and it's just a
Mhm.
segment of society. But movies like we just talked about here with Jerry Maguire, this is a movie star. This was a big Hollywood original production that in Cameron Crowe, it just to me it just hits all the notes. And
Exactly.
I don't
Well,
know, bringing that all together. I don't know really what else. If have you hit everything you
I,
want to talk
I
about?
think so. I mean, like I really did enjoy this movie. There's so many great moments to it. It has a lot of great quotes from it. I mean, one of the most quotable movies, period, that has like more quotes to it that
Yep.
people, you know, um, I just read that Cameron Crowe wanted the Quan to be as big or to be a bigger hit than Show Me the Money, but I mean, come on, Show Me the Money. I mean, it's just the way he did it, just always, always bigger stuff.
And he won the Oscar for this too, I believe, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because he
No,
went from this and I think he went from this to As Good as It Gets. It was Cuba Gooding. I think he
Cuba
went.
Gooding Jr., yeah. And then
Yeah.
he was one of those actors who I thought was gonna have a big lifespan and huge, and he kind of petered out. And do you remember when he did that movie like Chill Factor with fucking Skeet Ulrich, and stuff? Like he was sort of that actor that just kind of fizzled out and people love, but they don't love him as much as they used to, you know?
Yeah, then he started doing like Snow Day, and it's like, and it's not that he does necessarily bad stuff. And the same can be said in some ways for Renee Zellweger. She had a big pop after this movie with like One True Thing and other. By I say pop by having some big releases that they put emphasis behind for not action type stuff, but more
Well,
romance or dramas. And
uh,
but she and other than the series, the Bridget Jones. I
yeah,
mean,
Bridget Jones, and I was like thinking Nurse Betty too. That was a
yeah.
pretty good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that was really a big like financial success, but it was a good film. I mean,
I
I
remember seeing it in the theater. I remember going to see it because I had a huge crush on Renee Zellweger. I still do. Her, for some reason, because they both have R names and whatnot, I always get her and 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 the letters at the end that like I always get her mixed up with Reese Witherspoon on stuff, and they kind of have like, was it Reese Witherspoon did all those romantic comedies too at that time, so like
yeah.
even though and they're both blonde, but like they don't look like each other or anything.
No.
It's just whenever
What
I hear their names, I just think for
yeah.
some reason similar.
What's funny is you go that direction. I crossed her up with Joey Lauren Adams on a few things.
And I was
And
actually thinking
but
about
I think
that.
there's more. I think there was more of a likeness, physical likeness between them a little bit, maybe. With, but still,
I just watched Chasing Amy, which is a documentary about the impact that Chasing Amy had on people, especially in the LGBTQ community at that
Mhm.
time and stuff. It's an amazing movie, by the way. And Joey Lord Adams in it has one of the most just the greatest arcs in that, like talking about it because you never got her side of the story. It's always about what Kevin did for it and Kevin's story. But it was nice because also so many people talk trash about even were you there for our Chasing Amy talk or whatever when we did it
Yeah.
for
What
Film Freaks?
didn't oh
Gary
who
left. Gary
Gary?
left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gary was Gary. I don't think really wanted to talk too much on the films.
No, but we talked a lot about how we were kind of surprised now, like thinking about it, like that movie couldn't be done today, and it still probably couldn't be done the way it was done because people have changed drastically. So like the words that people use, like the F word being used a lot, would not be
Mhm.
used today,
Yeah.
because people just don't, a lot of people just don't feel comfortable even saying it, even in joking, in terms and stuff. So like it is one of those things where, and the F word is the slur,
Yeah.
homophobic slur. Um, but word I don't ever like to use myself.
Yeah.
Um, but I really enjoyed this documentary and I got a lot out of it, but I kept seeing Joey Lauren Adams and then I watched Renee Zellweger and I'm like, Joey could have, because Joey made Chasing Amy about this time that this movie came out.
Yeah.
So like she hadn't really made it big. She was only in like Mallrats and Dazed and Confused, some Biodome later,
She
and
was
stuff.
she was in something else. Was she in Higher Learning?
Maybe.
No, I'm just
That
I
wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, 'cause that was mid '95. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she was, but there was such an ensemble in that movie anyway. So
Yes, she was like one of those people who didn't blow up till after Chasing Amy in a way. And then she was in
Mhm.
like Big Daddy and a few other movies. And whatnot, which I do adore her and everything she does. I met her in person too at Blood at the Beach. Super sweet girl. I'd love to meet Renee Zellweger, but I don't think she's gonna come to a horror convention.
Yeah,
Maybe she
um,
would to talk about Texas Chainsaw 4.
yeah. Have
Maybe
her
she
and
would.
Matthew McConaughey together in that. That'd be
Ah,
fun.
dude, I would
Uh,
love that.
I don't know if they really. It'd be interesting to see. I don't hear them ever talk about it, so I wonder if they'd like sort of distance themselves from it, or if they
Probably.
really have, or
I
if they
don't blame
embrace it. I
them.
mean, it's not exactly a work of art if they're trying to get a Hollywood
Uh,
driven. Nothing against horror films. We love horror films, but
right.
it's that
Oh,
that
well, I
was
mean,
that was a low budget fun horror film there.
there are horror films that are pretty bad, especially,
Yeah.
and whatever. But no, I really enjoyed it. I had like go back to Jerry Maguire. I really enjoyed it. I had a fun time. I thought everybody was cast perfectly. I love all the cameos. It is one of those movies I'd probably watch again. Like I don't know if I'd watch it every year or anything, but like every now and then when I like get the urge to like this is a good like feel good, sit down,
Mhm.
if you're not feeling good. It's a Christmas movie. We forgot to mention that. It's a Christmas movie. It's at the end of it, they got the Christmas trees up and all that stuff. They talk about holidays. They don't mention Christmas, but they say holidays. It's a Christmas movie. So,
There you go.
that,
Well,
like,
it came out at Christmas, so it's like
yeah, I think that,
this is the type of movie that I could watch in its entirety, or really, it's one of those ones. If I flip in channels and I see it on, I can just pick up in it and
yeah.
just watch it for a little while here or there, or even finish it out and stuff like that. So, and that's why for me, it's like it fit the sports stuff because there's so many cameos and there's the whole sports and interwoven in the story, but it also crosses up with a rom-com. So it's like different take on the way we've gone with some of the stuff in here.
Yeah.
But to me it was good and really good, and it's a movie that I absolutely love, and I'm surprised I don't have it on 4K, a nice Blu-ray version of it at minimum, and it's something that I need to probably keep an eye out for to get a version if it's available now, or but I mean there's a lot of extras on this like we talked about
I,
earlier. So
we've been doing some different, like, I mean, I did, was a rookie of the year, and
yeah,
then, Alfred did, Victory, which, not your normal sports movie as well
yeah,
either.
not at all. And
And then this one is a little
yeah,
different.
and you were talking about Joey Lauren Adams there. I know, switching back to her, it wasn't Higher Learning, but it was a sports movie and it was in college, and that's why I crossed up, and that would have fit in this thing. And I told you guys I was considering it for this discussion. It was the program.
Cool.
She was in the program, so that's that's college football. So I was like, I remember her in a college movie, and I just couldn't think of what it was. But so sports things for the future. That was one that was in the periphery. I don't know if it's one that I would choose, but uh,
Well,
I
we're
know they
only
were
gonna
looking around.
do one more
Probably one.
each,
one.
and then
Yeah.
for this season, and then we're gonna have a different theme for the next season. But
Yeah. That said,
I
are we going to announce what Alfred's wanting to do for the next one once
well,
we
it's
turn
gonna
the
be
page?
mine.
Or?
It's gonna be mine next and
Oh, you're
stuff.
next. Okay, I wasn't
Yes,
sure.
because
Also,
yeah, it's mine first, then it was Alfred's, then it's yours, then it's
okay.
mine, Alfred, and yours.
So I guess on that note, we're closed the book on Jerry Maguire, and
Yep.
uh, but I would like to have a conversation with Alfred at some point and just get his take on it and stuff like that. It might not
Yeah.
be something he really wants to share too
It
much about.
sounds like he doesn't want to talk about it, so I
Yeah,
didn't
so if
ask
he
him.
doesn't, then yeah, to each their own. And I mean, everybody has those movies, or not movies, but things that
Sometimes
remind you of
movies.
certain times. Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be a movie, it could just be an event that something reminds you of whatever. So, uh,
But
anyways, so that'll put a bookend to Jerry Maguire. So if you want to turn the page to what you're thinking of,
yep,
uh,
so
how-
we will be back in February, I believe, if all goes well. I really hope so, because
I
we're
hope
gonna
it's
be
something
doing
cool.
a winter movie, you know.
Oh, is it going to be a cool movie or is it going to be a not so cool movie?
It's gonna be cool runnings. So I would hope it'd be cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's Cool Runnings. That's the Jamaican bobsled team movie,
And
and I remember loving that movie absolutely. So it's going to be fun to rewatch, especially in the like sort of cold times that we're going to be going into. We're sort of already
already in.
there. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
already there, but I mean, I've already got cocoa and tea and coffee and everything, for my
Yeah.
days and stuff.
I,
So.
I, I'm trying to think back to my first experience with Cool Runnings. I'm gonna have to really think about it because I know for a fact that I haven't seen it in at least 30 years. So, um,
Well, and if you guys all have uh Disney Plus or so, you can watch it on your own as well and check it out and let me know what you guys, think when we start doing our review of it and everything. I'm kind of excited. I think this oh, it'll be fun. It'll just be a fun little movie.
there we go.
So I'm looking
Well,
forward to it. It's silly. It's Disney. I mean, it's Disney before Disney became Disney. The stuff that they're
yeah.
doing now, they wouldn't do this movie now, I don't think. You know.
It's just interesting, like you were saying, how we've chosen what we've chosen, and I think it goes into our respective past. Whether Alfred looking at something with like victory and some of the historic elements and stuff like that, you're taking the approach with Cool Runnings. I think as well as Rookie of the Year in the past, that it's been more of a I don't say the kids relation or the younger generation's relation to sports and stuff like that, and there's a fun Disney type of feel to it. I
He's
had the rom-com here. I'm trying to remember what my first one was right off the top of my head. I can't think of it. I'm drawing a complete blank, and I don't understand that. But what my one was before Jerry Maguire. It's like it's just completely like over
Well,
my
we
head
didn't
right
do
now.
sports movies before then. This is like the first
Yeah,
sports movies that we
yeah,
did. I
yeah,
don't remember what the last, like, I know we did like Running Scared, which was
yeah,
Alfred's and
yeah.
stuff
So
like that. So I
okay,
think have we do Fast Times at one point?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's stuff in
Um,
there, but uh,
and then was it uh Alfred was talking about how he re-listened to the Excalibur review that we did with Paul, and he really loved our conversation on that and stuff. And he had what was his line about it? He said to me, I watched the Making New Excalibur again yesterday. I really enjoyed that in our time, talking with about the movie and stuff. So,
yeah. So
um,
it's just interesting where the three of us come from with some of these picks because it just shows the differences that people have with what they like, how age and different things bring into what we watch and what entertains us and what resonates, what sticks with us over the years and stuff like that. So Alfred brings a whole different perspective than you and I, and that's great. And I think that's what brings this to different levels with different discussions.
and hey, we'll be in a brand new year, 2026, when we come back. We'll be in a whole new year. So I'm excited
Here
about
we
it,
go.
but I'm like, like I don't know how much different it's going to be. It's just going to be a new year, you know. Just
There we go.
But we'll see. We'll see how different it is. So yeah, we'll be back February 2026 to discuss Cool Runnings. It was fun to talk to Jared Maguire today. If you have something you want to discuss or whatever with us, you know, on that, please leave a comment or like this stuff and let us know what you guys think. Also can reach out to us at indiefilmcafe@gmail.com. All right, everybody. Thanks, Joe. And
Thank you.
thanks everybody for checking out. And we'll be back next year. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You're listening to the Hollywood Boulevard Podcast.